Okay, so I just I want to talk about something that is very disturbing to me and should be disturbing to most. And this isn't necessarily surprising to me, but um I mean the best I could say is that as a general sense of like self-preservation, I think that potentially we have a tendency to avoid specific thoughts or topics to stay sane. I don't know, you know? I just watched a movie called Ultrasound, and I've watched a whole lot of movies. Like I said, I would guess a good 10,000 in my lifetime. There have been times where I could watch a good 20 movies in a day. And, that wasn't uncommon. Between 5 and 10,000, let's say. I'm not going to Cat Williams myself. Uh, fuck. Ultrasound is a very disturbing fucking movie. It made me uncomfortable. I don't really get uncomfortable or scared or freaked out in movies, but I've had specific situations in my life that have significant, potential. Fuck it. Regardless of any of that, Ultrasound is on Hulu. I think it's, on Amazon and shit too. It's not a Hulu specific movie. But the movie is basically about the use of frequency in terms of suggestibility. And I don't want to go through the entire plot of the movie. I will say it's definitely worth watching for anyone. For anyone. Because there are some things that they alluded to in the movie that have potential ramifications for everybody. It has a potential to affect anyone. And I'm like connecting these things in my brain as I'm making this video, and it's so disturbing that I'm having trouble with my words, which is not common either. I talk a lot about the kind of limitless and boundless I talk a lot about the lack of oversight within R&D when it comes to technologies, right? And tactics even, because some of it's not really technology. But within this movie, they show a private company that is doing research on unwilling subjects, meaning that these people did not opt in. They didn't volunteer for this study. They're kidnapped. They kidnapped these people and tested on them for an undisclosed amount of time. And for reference, the reason that part is disturbing to me is not only is there the obvious same scenario potential for for this reality. Many people go missing, like hundreds of thousands of people go missing in different places throughout America at the very least, but worldwide, I would say. But also, at least within America, people get kidnapped in a different way. and it's public. No one really pays attention to it because we have this illusory foundation of a justice system. So, it's a very blurred line, because obviously there are some beings that do fucked up shit in front of people sometimes, and they're, quote, guilty of a crime, right? Then there are other situations where, because of that illusory system of laws, of policies, policy enforcers can make the on-the-spot decision to kidnap you, and there is very little oversight in that until you go to a court system, which also does not have very much oversight. And so that's disturbing to me, because there are potentials for things like that to be used in this way. The beings that own those prisons are private most of the time. It says state prison on a lot of these facilities, or Department of Corrections, and that sounds like it's state or governmental. Many times it's not. It's private. And the conflict of interest has to do with these same beings owning and having stakes in other aspects of, business and the economy. And this is like not safe for me to talk about, but I'm so fucking freaked out by the movie that I just watched, and the possible implications that it suggests. And after I watched the movie, I already knew the answer, but I went and looked up suggestibility frequency, and I found fucking white papers. And of course, the forward-facing, the public-facing, explanation for this experimentation and these peer-reviewed studies are for therapeutic reasons. We're helping everyone. But within this movie, they showed the very real possibility and likelihood of that, again, being the public-facing, and even some of the beings that are working at these places and participating as counselors and technicians and so on and so forth, being very, very compartmentalized, being like lied to about what they're working on and the ethics of it and what it's being developed for. There's a scene where the main doctor that's ahead of he's the head of the project is showing this progress off to these unknown at the time suited dudes. So they're all in this viewing room. They're using a two-way mirror. They're in the viewing room. There's a subject in an interview room. They make him do some stuff like he's a fucking, circus animal. And then the doctor that's been assisting him, a counselor, is surprised when he instructs her to tell the subject who's in a wheelchair to stand up. And he stands up. And she realizes that he is under suggestion that he cannot use his legs. And then when she confronts this doctor about how she was kept in the dark about this, things start to become apparent to her. And she realizes that all of the men that were in that room are military and that they're not working on a therapeutic technique. They're working on a weapon. And he says, no, I wouldn't have shown them this if there wasn't a reversal frequency, until I was sure that we had a reversal frequency. Then she says, you didn't even mention the reversal frequency to them. And so the whole time I'm watching this movie, and many other movies, if it applies, I'm thinking of these things in terms of how they could apply to reality. And it's not to say that I view them as real. I just look for the potential and possibility of application in reality. And then I very quickly am able to corroborate that potentiality through fucking white papers that are talking about this exact thing. And the level of discomfort I feel is indescribable. I was one of the many, many, many beings that has been taken and put into a prison as a POW, as a prisoner of war. And firsthand experience, they wake you up at night. They wake you up at night randomly, and everyone just tells each other that they're doing random drug tests. Do we know that? You know? Do we know that? And, you know, I've had lots and lots of very fucking weird things happen, just generally speaking, since that entire situation. Even after, you know, the supposed affirmation of my appeal. And it's very, very creepy to me. And I don't feel comfortable going into it completely, but like, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm doing this. You know, I don't really expect anything to be investigated or done about it because no one gives a fuck, dude. I mean, not even just about criminals. People go missing in state parks and all this other shit all the time. And, you know, some people care, but not enough for us to actually do something about these very, very heavy situations. I don't know. I'm not trying to bum anybody out. It's just very disturbing, dude. This is a disturbing place. You know, sometimes I think about my videos and how they may leave, you know, those that give them a shot or frequent them. But you know what? It's more important than that. I don't see nearly enough people talking about any of the shit that I talk about. And I do care if it bums people out, but in the same breath, good. Like, just because it bums people out doesn't make it any less true or any less, you know, potentially true or whatever it may be. And there are so many scenarios where beings that have been the victims of a thing or are the victims of a thing, even, you know, in the current, just get gaslit, or, you know, when they try to not ask for help, but that too, but when they try to talk about what they're experiencing, even if they don't understand it, the knee-jerk reaction is to call them fucking crazy or paranoid, or, you know, there are systems in place to make the general public, the average person, just look past these things. And it's fucking disgusting. It's gross, you know? And even with this, like, my subconscious is like, you guys are going to hear me speak about this and be like, this dude's freaking out over a movie. But again, go look up suggestibility frequency. You're not going to just find movies. You're going to find white papers. White papers are peer-reviewed studies. That means there is experimentation. And it's not to say that those that were involved in those experiments did not you know, volunteer or agree to it, but regardless, the application of the experimentation is what I'm talking about. You know? What the fuck, dude? I don't know. Maybe the words aren't enough to get anybody else to where I'm at. Uh, if you're even slightly curious about like why this is affecting me in this way, even if you watched it, I would say watch the movie because it definitely displays what I'm talking about. But even then, there are many that would be like, okay, it's a movie. Even with the white papers, they'd be like, okay, well, they say that they're gonna help people. You know, we all know what those people tend to be. I'm not a fan of the name that they get called necessarily, but the more that stuff like this comes to my attention, the more that I'm like, yeah, fuck. I mean, if you can't open your eye to this, then maybe you fucking are that. Maybe you are an NPC, because this is disturbing as fuck. They just do these things and no one pays any fucking attention to it. They're publishing the shit that they're doing and just saying it's gonna be for your own good. And then everyone's like, oh, good. And then maybe they do the good thing, but then they do 10 not good things. Anthrobotics, this shit's fucking weird, dude. To see these things develop, like, where is the oversight? It doesn't seem like there's oversight with really anything. Except for shit that, like, imprisons regular people. There's plenty of oversight with fucking, petty crime and drugs. Plenty of oversight with petty crime and fucking molecules. But all this other shit, though, it just seems to be about fiat currency and control. And I don't understand why everyone is not disturbed by. I think people feel nice and cozy with their jobs and feeling like they don't do anything to break the law, but that's just, a level of attention. Or feeling secure in your pigment, or feeling secure in your caste level, the level that you sit at within the the caste system that we definitely have but act like we don't have. Ugh, dude, I feel gross after watching that movie. It's a good movie, you know. I keep reminding myself it's a good movie, or else it wouldn't have it evoked these emotions. There's some personal experience, obviously, that's assisting that, but all in all, man, just the movie fucked with me. But then when I went and looked the shit up and just kind of expected to maybe not find anything, it's not even hidden, man. It's like it's like the second result and the third result. Doing a regular search, suggestibility frequency. That's not even, I don't even think that's the best way to look that up. But it's just sitting there. Learn how to read white papers, dude. Like, and then people wonder why some of us are so enamored, for lack of a better term, with simulation theory and all these other theories and assertions, like, because we can see, because we can interpret this place in a much more realistic sense than it feels like many are even attempting to. And sure, it is dark, and sure, it may be depressing, but does that make it any less true? Like, even I don't see why you would fake or make up these white papers and peer-reviewed studies, and go on podcasts and shit talking about these experiments that you do. And I mean, I'm thinking of that because I'm trying to think of what people think when they see these things or hear us talk about these things. I know many just don't want to hear it at all, but if you were talking to like, fuck it, dude, that doesn't matter. I don't know, man. It's I may do a video about this, but it's so fucking close to home in a way that like I don't know that I want to dive more into it. I don't know that I want to dive more into it, to be honest, you know? I mean, it's one of the reasons that I would very much like some partners in this company that I'm trying to build, because there's certain shit where it's like I'm too close to this and I really don't. I would want to know the end result, but as far as doing the research and investigative work, like I don't want to fucking do this, man. I don't want to know in that way. I don't want to read through all this shit and then wonder stuff, you know? I would rather let a trusted colleague, you know, who hasn't been in situations where they could potentially have had this type of stuff happen to them, you know? I would rather let them do this one and let me go back to fucking Kardashev, you know? This is weird. This is weird. I mean, there's aspects that the reason this is affecting me so much, I'm trying to like explain as best as I can so you don't think I'm just like rambling or the you know, goings on of a crazy person or some shit. After getting out, there was a solid chunk of time where all of the people that I encountered, all of the people that I, you know, had any kind of more than in passing interaction with felt off to me. Like saying weird shit, doing weird shit, because I was suspicious of them, I would like kind of be attempting to catch them in saying and doing weird shit, and did, you know? I'm trying to decide on how much to go into it. I wish the Patreon would have worked out, because this seems like dangerous. This seems fucking dangerous, dude. I don't even know if I should put this shit out. Whatever, man. I don't know. I might talk about this later.